He's Cris Collinsworth, best football analyst on TV, Football Night in America, Sunday Night Football on NBC, and he joins us now. Cris, we were talking about if I said every coaching position was vacant in the NFL, knowing what you have with your quarterback, salary cap, ownership, everything, you walk right in and you're coaching the Patriots. Best coaching job is where?
Of any team?
Any team. You can coach any team right now.
With the roster that they have in place?
Everything.
Seattle.
Yep. We said Seattle or San Francisco because our quarterbacks are relatively cheap, and we've already got a good infrastructure there, and those are great cities to live in.
Great cities and an owner that has a checkbook that could write anything he wanted to write.
Yeah, I forgot about Paul Allen.
Yeah, there's that one little detail there. But, it is kind of what makes this weekend so interesting, though, isn't it? I mean, you sort of have the legacy games on both sides, one on the youthful side, with Colin Kaepernick and Russell Wilson, which one of those two are going to have the upper hand and, all that kind of stuff. And then on the other side, you have the back end of the careers working with Brady and Manning and, the significance of that. Maybe even more important at this point than winning the Super Bowl, the matchup of those two young kids versus the two veterans and what it's going to mean long-term to what we think about all these guys.
Well, you're going to have that matchup in the Super Bowl. Whoever gets in, you're going to have the old guard with the new guard, which is going to be intriguing enough. Where do you stand on the whole cold weather Super Bowl?
I kind of like it. Some of my favorite memories as a kid, I think, were watching some of the Freeze Bowl games and on television and what it must be like. And then my sorry butt had to play in one of them my rookie year in that 59 below wind chill game in Cincinnati. So, it's good to be a part of the history of the game, and I think we'll see something new with the history. And, the only thing that I wonder about a little bit is how far do we go with this? Okay, New York is New York, and we're going to go there, and they have the accommodations, the hotels, the events, the things that's going to make a Super Bowl exciting there. But now if Buffalo builds a new stadium, do we go to Buffalo? Are we going to play one in Green Bay? That would be historic. At what point does this end? And really the thing that I've thought all along is that it's going to be great until the halftime show's over, and then half the stadium's going to be empty. And I got to admit, depending on the weather, there's going to be a temptation to watch the second half in the hotel room.
How important is weather for a job? If you look at the jobs that have been filled, Houston, Tampa, we still have Detroit open, Tennessee got filled, Cleveland's still open. Weather play a role, do you think, with any of these coaching vacancies right now in the NFL?
Boy, I never thought about that one. I don't think so. I think at the end of the day it has more to do with what do you have at the quarterback position than anything else. I really do. Now, maybe with Lovie Smith, he looked at the defense and said, hey, we can be this and we can be that or whatever. But this is a team, and it's part of the reason I'm a little bit surprised that Detroit hasn't been filled to this point yet, that they seem to be taking their time, and maybe they've got somebody in mind that's still in the playoffs. I don't know. But that seems to be a team that's pretty loaded on the offensive side, and I always thought just needed a little help on defense.
We're talking to Cris Collinsworth from Sunday Night Football on NBC, joining us Dan Patrick Show. But you mentioned the Lions, and the report is Matthew Stafford is sitting in as part of the interviewing process. I think it's mind-blowing that I have my 25-year-old quarterback in there. We look at the Redskins with how Daniel Snyder has reportedly enabled RG3. I can't let Matthew Stafford in there to be part of the interviewing process. Can you?
Boy, it's a hard question. I think if it's Peyton Manning, you have no problem with it. If it's Tom Brady, you have no problem with it. And maybe if it's Matthew Stafford, you have no problem with it. The thing with RG3 runs much deeper than just sitting in on the interview. I remember a couple of the guys telling me The one that broke the camel's back on that one was during the off day at training camp or something like that, when the owner and his wife and RG3 and his wife went out to the movies together. And that seemed to cross some boundary, some line within the players. Now, I'm sure that it had been building to that point. But let's face it, this game is getting completely unique in the way we're treating stars. I always thought the NBA was the one place that you could really sort of understand it. Okay, Michael Jordan and Shaquille O'Neal and Kobe Bryant, you either have one of those guys or you don't, and you're going to win. And so, yes, they're going to be involved in the coaching decision and the coaching on the floor and all that kind of stuff. But now I think we're finally, with free agency and the control that the quarterbacks have, starting to acknowledge that, a little bit like our home lives, if mama ain't happy, the world ain't happy, and the same thing goes with quarterbacks. So I don't know. The whole thing is so foreign to me, and when Forrest Gregg was my head coach, and I'm telling you, I was like a salmon. If he was walking down the hallway one way, I just turned and went upstream with him because I didn't want to just cross him in the hallway. I was scared to death of him. And now it's much more of a comfortable relationship.
All right, let's settle the mystery of Omaha. When Peyton goes, and I heard Brady say this 2 or 3 years ago during a game, he called out Omaha. What does Omaha mean, or the different definitions?
Well, the first time I really started hearing it was actually with Eli back in 2009. And we did something on it during the game. Now, I don't know how much people understand this, but I think I created a little bit of a stir there because he was going Omaha, and it was obviously meaning hurry up, we got to snap the ball. So Omaha, the next sound you heard, the ball was snapped. So now, of course, every defense in the league started picking up on that. So now, of course, Peyton Manning takes it where Omaha, or hurry, or whatever it is that he wants to say means the next thing out of my mouth, the play clock's ticking down, we're going to snap the ball. But, of course, with Peyton, you can tell a lot of what he's doing based on watching the play clock, because if he's at 12 seconds or at 18 seconds, no matter how much he's trying to get you to jump off sides, don't jump, because he's going to give you another 37 minutes of the lecture in calculus class there. So he's going to go, and we saw him, I think he got San Diego to jump off sides 5 times in the game.
Yeah.
So he goes, Omaha, hot. And in that quiet stadium, all of a sudden, that sounds like it's amplified 100 times over, and guys jump off sides. Well, by now they've trained themselves where Omaha, maybe on this particular series means nothing. So don't pay attention to it. And we're going to go out there and do that. So it's just a code word for when they're going to snap the ball. The Pittsburgh Steelers were convinced that Omaha meant they were going to run to the safety side or to the non-safety side. So there's all kinds of different things it can mean, but I think mostly it deals with snap count.
Yeah, and I also heard that meant just go opposite, because you call 2 plays in the huddle, or Peyton will call 2 plays at the line of scrimmage, see what we have, yell out Omaha, and then you change the play. So, and I don't know what Brady was using it for, but I remember him using it. Do you think Peyton tried to take those field microphones out of the game?
Well, some of the biggest complaints that we got were from Jim Harbaugh, because, they want to communicate at the line of scrimmage, and apparently it is common practice. We all study the game tapes and the game films. Well, now teams are studying the television version of what's going on, because they're getting so much of the communication at the line of scrimmage and so much of the snap count from television. But of course, Peyton's a little bit ahead of the whole mix on this stuff. He will also study it, his own snap count and what they did, anticipate what the other team's going to learn from it, and then try to take it one step in the opposite direction so that it begins to work against him. He was sort of laughing and semi-telling me without telling me, because at some point they were playing a team that knew them very well. The Baltimore Ravens, they had a bunch of players that had gone back and forth on opening night. And his point was, they're going to think that they know what certain words of mine mean, Well, in this game, those words are going to mean we're going to fake that, what they think they know, and run something else. So how much do you trust what you've learned? Because Peyton and Tom Brady and, all these guys are now so sophisticated to the point where they're studying what you think you know, and then they're going to use what you think you know against you to beat you in the game. I mean, that's really where we are with this thing. So
I agree.
It's insane, but it's absolutely happening.
All right, put your analyst hat on. 30-second capsulizing what will be the difference, Broncos and the Patriots, and then we'll get to Niners Seahawks.
The more I watched it the other day and watched both those teams running the football, I think that's fairly accurate to say, because if Bill Belichick can get the double teams he wants, take away Julius Thomas and Demaryius Thomas, then they're gonna win the game. New England's gonna win the game, I feel like. But that's really going to be, kind of the key, because either team that gets the running game going, now you can't get the double teams going on the back end, and that's going to be the difference, the run game for either one.
All right, Niners Seahawks, the most important ingredient in this is what? Is that your official answer?
Yeah, I'm going to say Russell Wilson, just flat out. Fran Tarkington, if he starts making plays with his legs, then it's over. We think of Colin Kaepernick as a runner, but the one thing I've noticed about, I think I've called the last two games between these two teams in Seattle, is that the speed of the defense on Seattle's front seven has really neutralized Colin Kaepernick and his running ability and ability to get outside. The one thing that nobody ever seems to really be able to stop is Russell Wilson scrambling to throw. When he starts moving and buying time and making throws down the field based on that, I'll never forget watching J.J. Watt on tape this year. I mean, J.J. Watt never took a half of a play off. I've never seen a guy play a game harder than that. And he was chasing Russell Wilson around, and I almost felt sorry for the guy. I mean, he was playing as hard as he could possibly play, and nobody and nothing could get Russell Wilson on the ground. And when he gets it going like that, I think they're impossible to beat, and the team to beat in the NFL this year.
Thank you, Bud. Good to talk to you. Thanks, Chris.
You too, pal.
All right, Cris Collinsworth, Football Night in America.